Okay, so in today's lesson, we're going to be looking at factorising expressions. Now, factorising is the opposite of expanding. So in the previous two videos, we looked at expanding brackets where you multiply out. This time, we're going to do the opposite of that. So we're going to go backwards. So the aim of factorising is to put brackets back into the expression. Now, just to remind you, an expression is it's to do with algebra. It's got unknowns in it, so it's got letters in it, but it's got no equal sign. So something with an equal sign is called an equation, and we're looking at expressions today. So factorising expressions, the opposite of expanding, putting brackets back in. So we're going to start with some examples, and they start off easy and again get progressively more difficult. So this first question, factorise fully 3m plus 9. So we're aiming to put brackets back into the equation, okay? And we end up with an answer that looks like the question when we did expanding. So to work it out, what we have to look at is we look at all the terms in the expression. So 3m is a term, 9 is a term. And we think, right, what is common to both terms? We want the highest amount that's common to both. So clearly we can see that 3 and 9, common to both of those things is 3. And that is the highest number that's common to both of those. So we put 3. We also have to check to see if any letters are common, and they're not. M is only in one of them, not in both. So 3 is the only thing that we can take out of 3m and 9 to go outside the bracket. So that's what goes outside the bracket. We now put our brackets in. And to work out what goes inside the bracket, you need to think to yourself, right, if I was expanding this, I would do 3 times this, and I would get 3m. So you need to think to yourself, 3 times what is 3m? And obviously it's 3 times m. Then we put our plus. And again, for this one, you'd think, right, 3 times what gives you 9? It's obviously going to be 3. Now, you can double check to see if you've got your answer right by then expanding these brackets back out again. And you should get back to the question. So if you expanded this, then you would do 3 times m is 3m, and 3 times 3 is 9. And there we can see that we've got it correct. Okay, question 2. What is highest and common to both 15 and 25? Obviously, the answer is 5. So we need to put 5 outside the brackets. Quickly check if there's any letters in common. No, there aren't. So 5 is the only thing outside the brackets. Then we think to ourselves, right, 5 times what gives us 15d? So we have to think about the numbers first. 5 times 3 is 15. And we have to include the d. And then we put a minus this time because it's a minus in the question. And then 5 times what is 25? It's 5. Again, you can double check by seeing if it works if you expand it. 5 times 3d is 15d, and 5 times 5 is 25. Next question. Now, this one I've deliberately included because lots of people make the mistake where they don't take out the highest number that they can. Now, clearly, common to both of these numbers is we've got several options. We've got 2, that's common to both 16 and 32. We've got 4, that's common to both. 8, that's common to both, but there's still an even higher number that's common, and that is 16. So we need to make sure we're taking out the highest amount. So 16 goes outside the brackets. Right, then we think to ourselves, right, 16 times what is 16? Now, obviously those numbers are the same, so we have to put a 1, because 16 times 1 is 16. Put our plus. Then 16 times what is 32? That's 2, and we put our y. Question 4. Okay, so this one, we've got no numbers here, but we do have letters in common, which can sometimes happen. So if we're looking for letters that are in common, we can see that x goes in both. So x goes on the outside of the bracket. Then you think to yourself, right, x times what is xy? It's y. And x times what gives you x? It's obviously just 1, because we've already got the x on the outside. Next one, we've got numbers and letters in common this time. So the highest number that goes into both of these things is 2. And we've got the letter A in common too. So both of those have to go outside the bracket. Then we think, right, 2a times what gives you 4ab? So do numbers first. 2 times 2 is 4. A we've already got, and we need to add a b on the end. Then we put minus. Right, 2a times what gives you 2a? They're the same, so we put a 1. Okay, last one. So again, we've got letters in common. We've got p in both. Now, don't forget p squared means p times p. So we have got p in common here. That goes outside the bracket. We put our bracket. Then we think p times what gives us p squared. It's obviously another p, because p times p is p squared. And then p times what gives you 4p, it's plus 4. So those are all our final answers when we factorise these expressions. So make sure you've got those written down. And now I'd like you to write these down and have a go at these, pause the video, and then come back to see if you've got them right. Okay, so answers. So for this first one then, 5k plus 15. The highest number that goes into both of those is 5, and there are no letters in common. Inside the bracket, 5 times what is 5k, you'd put k, and 5 times 3 is 15. Next, 36b minus 9. The highest number that goes into both of those is 9, okay? And 9 times 4 is 36, put the b at the end, and 9 times 1 is 9. If you put a different number, say you put 3 instead, then that number's not high enough, okay? You need the highest possible number on the outside. Question 3. Again, it's one of those trickier ones where there's lots of things that go into both of these. We've got 3 goes into both, 5 goes into both, but also 15 goes into both. 15 goes into 15 and 45. So 15 would go on the outside of the bracket because you're always looking for that highest number. 15 times 1 is 15, put our minus. 15 times 3 is 45, put the n. Question 4. So the only thing in common here are the a's. So a goes outside the bracket, and you think, right, a times what is ab is obviously b, and a times what is 2a is 2. Next question, we've got numbers and letters in common now. So number 3 is in common, and the letter x is in common. So 3x times what is 3xy? We've already got the 3, already got the x, we just need the y. Put the minus. 3x times what is 9x? It's times 3, okay? And we don't need another x because we've already got it. And last question, common to both things is the letter x. Don't forget, that's x times x squared. So x times what is x squared? It's times x, and x times what is minus 4x? It's times minus 4. So those are your answers for the practice questions. Make sure you've got all the answers written down and corrected. And now I just want you to go straight on to the exit card for factorising and send it off to your teacher.